come this far. You should know I believe in you. Every race you run, you're my number one. Kick it off now and bring it on. This will be your day. 'Cause baby, you were born to win. Never give up, never give in. You were born to win. Your destiny is victory. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Baby, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Baby, you were born to win. You set it up and you knock it down. You're all set now to rock this town. You don't really need to play it low. Just get up and go. This is all your show. You should know I believe in you. Every race you run, you're my number one. Kick it off now and bring it on. This will be your day. 'Cause baby, you were born to win. Never give up, never give in. You were born to win. Your destiny is victory. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Baby, 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 yeah, yeah. Baby, you were born to win. Cause baby, you were born to win. Born to win. Your destiny is victory. Baby, you were born to win. Never give up, never give in. You were born to win. Your destiny is victory. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Baby, 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 yeah, yeah. Baby, you were born to win. I know where you're coming from. A long road and the money's gone. All the games where you played your part from the very start just to come this far. You should know I believe in you. Every race you run, you're my number one. Kick it off now and bring it on. This will be your day. 'Cause baby, you were born to win. Never give up, never give in. You were born to win. Your destiny is victory. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Baby, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Baby, you were born to win. You set it up and you knock it down. You're all set now to rock this town. You don't really need to play it low. Just get up and go. This is all your show. You should know I believe in you. Every race you run, you're my number one. Kick it off now and bring it on. This will be your day. 'Cause baby, you were born.
So, welcome Sunday afternoon, early afternoon to F30 here in Malta. World Pro Racing here live with this GT tournament at the Go Malta Esports Festival. GT tournament sponsored by Thrustmaster. So behind me, as you can see, everything is now ready to start the first race of the third elimination round. Then later on at around 2 o'clock we're gonna have the the final race, where we'll see who will be the winner of the Thrustmaster TSXW steering wheel that was given to us thanks to Thrustmaster. All rigs here, as you can see, they're all equipped with Thrustmaster TSXW steering wheel and pedals, and also all drivers are using the Thrustmaster Ferrari Edition headphones. So very soon we're going to start with this race. Be with us, and we'll be giving you all details later about what's happening here. Together with me today I'll have Edwin also helping me through the stream and the commentary, and Justin as always. So we'll see you soon with the start of the race. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the 2018 Thrustmaster GT Tournament. And this is the first elimination round, with 5 minutes of practice, 4 minutes of warm-up time, and 15 minutes of racing. We got 4 drivers in this eliminations, which are Matthew Galli in the Ferrari, Kurt Camilleri in the Aston Martin, Omer Barbara in the BMW, and Brendan Tabone in the Porsche. As we see the drivers now making their way onto the first lap. Already some contact there between the Aston Martin of Kurt Camilleri and the Porsche of Brendan Tabone. It's raining a bit as well, which could spice things up during the race. On board now with the Ferrari of Matthew Gallia. Struggling a lot in the rain, I guess, as the drivers make their way onto this first sighting lap. We're here in Barbagiallo, which is a 2.4 kilometers, 7-corner lap. There's a big lock up there from the Ferrari of Matthew Gallia. And on we go. Track is drying out as well, since it's been raining on and off. And we're now looking at Matthew Gallia on board his first time lap. Back to the BMW of Omer Barbara. Driver is struggling a bit in this first few minutes of practice, as the track is drying out and then wet again and then drying out again. On board now with the Aston Martin of Camilleri. Up through the gears he goes and brakes hard down to a tight right-hander corner. And on he goes to the start finish straight. Up through the gears he goes. Third gear, fourth gear, back to the Aston Martin. Down the shifts he goes, down the gearbox he goes to the right, tight right-hander. Look at it, this is just glowing red. That's a beautiful sight to see. Kurt Camilleri, one of the top drivers here in Malta. Let's take it a bit slowly. Remember, this is the first elimination round with 5 minutes of practice. Drivers are in the pits. The Porsche of Brendan Tabone is in the pits, as well as the Ferrari comes out. Matty Galli on his way out. Gets the power down of that beautiful 488 Ferrari. And heads down as flames, goes out. Heads down to the left-hander. Then powers it up to the right-hander again. Up on that curb, really bumpy stuff over there. And as they drive, the drivers make their way for some practice times. They need to learn the limits of the track, as the race will begin in about 10 minutes. We got 4 minutes of warm-up time and then 15 minutes of sprint race. Remember that the drivers are not allowed to adjust anything on the car except for the brake bias and fuel load. All the cars are set up the same. Beautiful sight here on the track as the Porsche breaks down to the first right-hander, and the Porsche and the Aston Martin of Kurt Camilleri comes out of the pit lane. Huge wheel spin there for Kurt Camilleri, leaving 2 black lines on the road. Really pushing these things hard. Kurt Camilleri, obviously a favorite in this race, trying to win this race. It's not easy against his other competitors, against Matthew Gallia, Omer, and Brendan Tabone. A big lockup there in front of him. The Porsche is in for some brake bias setups. The Ferrari, big lockup there in the Ferrari, the last corner. As Kurt Camilleri rounds up the final corner and on the start-finish straight. Turn 1 for Kurt Camilleri. As the practice session is over, we're out for the 4-minute warm-up lap. The first of 2 warm-up sessions. First one is for Elimination 1, second one is for Elimination 2, of course. The drivers make their way out. Kurt Camilleri is out as well. All drivers out on track right now as Camilleri makes his way round turn 3 and up to turn 4. Omer Barbara comes out of the pit lane now. As the Ferrari of Matthew Gallia makes a stoppage on the middle of the road so that he can get a nice clean start. Some practice starts up for Gallia on the Ferrari 488. Drivers need to find the limit of this track, as they need also to get the tire temperatures up right, brake temperatures right, absolutely everything right, so that they can have the best start possible, the best race possible. Remember, the first two drivers that finish in first and second place in the first elimination race obviously go on to the final race. Round turn 1, he goes the BMW of Omer Barbara, the right-hander, then the left-hander again. Really tricky section to get this right. Some great driving here from Barbara. Down the gearbox he goes to the right-hander. Camilleri now finding the limits of turn 1. Brakes really late. Good traction out of the first corner though. Camilleri is really pushing this Aston Martin right to the limit. Through the gears he goes again. Braking hard now for the right-hander here. A lot of understeer in that car, but Camilleri corrects it really good. Good exit for the Aston Martin. Then brakes hard again for the last final corner. Gets on the gas, up through the gears now. Camilleri, that's a great lap from Camilleri over there. So warm-up is almost over. We got Matthew Gallia in first place with 53.97 lap time. Camilleri in second place with 54.07 lap time. Omar Barbar with 54.26, and Brendan Tabone with 1 minute and 01. I guess he didn't do a fast time yet. We're now looking at the Ferrari of Matthew Gallia. Gallia, who right now is top the timesheets here. Sector 1, 21.58 seconds. Sector 2, 15.97, which is the fastest sector. Gallia really pushing that Ferrari up to the limit. Up through the gears he goes, down the start-finish straight, and brakes hard to turn 1. And that is it for the practice session. We'll now take a short break and then a 15-minute sprint race. And we're almost on for the first elimination race, the start sprint race, 15-minute sprint. Lights out, and they are off. A great start for Camilleri on the Aston Martin. Great stuff. The battle for the second place between the Ferrari of Gallia, who takes the second place, and off goes the Porsche. The Porsche of Brendan Tabone is out. Third place goes to Barbara. So it's Camilleri, Gallia, then Barbara, and then Tabone. Great stuff by Camilleri. Up into second place already. Really fighting that Ferrari is Gallia. Third place man BMW of Barbara. And then the Porsche of Brendan Tabone. Great stuff by Camilleri. He's already pulling off a nice sizable lead over Gallia. Camilleri, who was the favorite already going into this first elimination sprint race. Defending line then from Gallia, who has Barbara up to his gearbox now. Over the line they go. Lap 1 is almost over. It's Camilleri, then Gallia, then Barbara and Tabone. Brakes hard now. Barbara trying to push that Ferrari into a small mistake then. Camilleri in a sizable lead now as well. This is great stuff by Camilleri. He's pulling off a lead over Gallia. Down the gearbox they go. It's Gallia in second place and third place Barbara in the BMW. This is great stuff. Great driving from all the drivers here. Camilleri is up 2 seconds already on the lead. Down to the final corner they go. Camilleri again. First place for him. He's driving that Aston Martin real beautifully. Over the line they go. It's the third lap. Then Gallia. And then Barbara and Tabone. A big lock up there by Gallia. Trying to catch Camilleri in the Aston Martin. And the battle now is really on for the first place. It's Camilleri versus Gallia, round 1. This great stuff by all drivers there. Barbara looks to have released off the pressure over Gallia over there, and Tabone is putting the pressure over Barbara to take that third place. Remember, if Tabone finishes where he is now, he will be eliminated from the final race immediately. As it stands right now, Camilleri in first place. Gallia in second place is trying to catch him up. Over the line they go. Up through the gears as well they go. Into the fourth lap they go. And Camilleri has an advantage of 0.9 of a second. So it's less than a second. Gallia in the meantime trying to fight that Ferrari hard to get back under Camilleri. With just 12 minutes to go in this race. Camilleri leads. And then Gallia in second place. Barbara in third place, and Tabone right now is in fourth place. Brakes really hard there, Camilleri. Small look up there and a small mistake by Camilleri. And that could be a nice advantage for Gallia, who took that corner really beautifully more than Camilleri. Camilleri now can sense that Gallia is almost behind him right now. There he is, Gallia, right now, fighting that Ferrari. Over the line they go. And this is lap 5 with 1.1 second lead. Camilleri leads Gallia, who in that last lap has recorded the fastest lap of the race, 53.6 for Camilleri and 53.8 for Gallia. There's great stuff by Camilleri, who senses the pressure that Gallia is putting on him, but still manages to lap that Aston Martin on fastest lap of the race. Brakes hard now. Again a bit tight. Again a bit wide in that corner Camilleri goes, but manages to keep that Aston Martin in shape for the corner. On board now with Gallia, who can sense now, can smell the victory almost. Camilleri in front of him. He can use Camilleri also as a reference point. Whenever Camilleri brakes, he can brake that little bit later. Maybe his Ferrari can give him that little bit of edge over Camilleri. But Camilleri brakes really good, and a small lock up there. A small lock up in turn 1, and that could be an advantage for Gallia. Again, it was a fastest lap for Camilleri, 53.6 again. But Gallia now can sense, he can almost smell the victory. Camilleri needs to get on with if he needs to win this race. And as it stands right now, Camilleri and Gallia will go automatically on the final race. A big look up there for Gallia. And another wide line there for Camilleri, who takes that line every time he passes through that corner. On board now with the third placeman, Omar Barbara in the BMW. As it stands, Omar has half a chance of doing the finals. On board now with Barbara, who's fighting that BMW really hard as well, trying to catch these two in front of him. A big lock up there for Camilleri. A big lock up for Camilleri, another lock up in turn 1. That may be an advantage for Gallia. On board now with Gallia, who can almost sense the victory now. Both of them through the right-hander, they go really good. Camilleri, another braking for him. And another lock up, a small look up for Camilleri, who has a wider line through that corner than Gallia and the Ferrari. Maybe his car or his driving style suits better that line than Gallia and the Ferrari. Final corner for both of them. This is great stuff by Camilleri, who goes over the line to complete lap 7 and lap 8 now. 1 second lead over Gallia. As it stands right now, Camilleri first, Gallia second, then Barbara third in the BMW, and Tabone fourth in the Porsche, who can't keep up with the pace of these three ahead of him. Obviously, if these guys tangle together, Gallia and Camilleri, this could be a huge advantage for Barbara in third place. On board now with the fourth place men, Tabone in the Porsche. Getting away a bit, these group in front of him, the all three cars in front of him. Tabone needs to up his pace a bit. As around the final corner they all go. Camilleri over the line with a lead of 1.1 seconds over Gallia. A nice sizable lead. Lock up again from Camilleri, but manages to keep it in check for turn 1. As Gallia tries to manage the tires as well, as behind the Aston Martin wouldn't help his tire temperatures and tire wear. Camilleri manages the gap really good. It's still 1 second lead over Gallia. Still Camilleri in the lead. Then Gallia on the Ferrari second place. On board now with Gallia and the Ferrari. Trying to catch Camilleri in the Aston Martin. Still the same gap. 1 second lead of Camilleri over Gallia. As it stands right now, they both go into the elimination round automatically. 6 minutes of racing remaining. Gallia pushing that Ferrari right to the limit to try and catch Camilleri, but Camilleri has everything under control and everything in check. Tabone is out right now, so only 3 guys remain in this heat. It's Camilleri, Gallia, and Barbara. Camilleri rounds up the final corner. Gallia can almost smell his exhaust pipes. Camilleri in the lead. Then Gallia in second place. The lead now is reduced to half a second. 0.4 of a second now. Lap 12 is on. And Gallia is really sensing that victory in front of him. Camilleri is still in first place. Not intimidated by Gallia at all. He's still racing really good. Camilleri lock up on the outside wheel. Gallia can sense the victory over here. Camilleri needs to up his pace a bit and keeps his nerves in check. This is great stuff by these 2 guys, Camilleri and Gallia. Camilleri really driving that Aston Martin to the absolute limit. Gallia can sense a victory here. Through the final corner they go. And Camilleri really blazes. Then and there's a small look up there for Gallia. That could be an advantage also for Camilleri. Over the line they go. It's lap 13. 0.6 of a second lead of Camilleri over Gallia. Turn 1 for these 2. Camilleri leads Gallia. They all have the same tight line over there. Up to the left hander they go. And then the right again. Camilleri in first place. Gallia and the Ferrari in second place. Who will win this fight? It's just 3.5 minutes of racing again, and Camilleri makes a small look up. Camilleri makes a big mistake there, but manages to keep the Aston Martin in check. Gallia and the Ferrari can almost smell the victory, putting the pressure on Camilleri. Final corner for these two. Camilleri leads Gallia. This could be an advantage for Camilleri, as Gallia has been sitting behind him for this whole race. Gallia can sense the victory, almost pushing that Aston Martin up to a mistake there. Camilleri still in first place. Gallia in second. The lead has been reduced significantly now to 0.2 of a second. This is lap 14 with almost 3 minutes of racing together. Camilleri again leads. Gallia looks down the inside of Camilleri. Camilleri has to go a bit wide and then cuts back in of Gallia. This is great driving there by Camilleri. It's great defensive driving. If he keeps that Ferrari behind him for these last 2.5 minutes, this race is in his bag. But Gallia senses the victory. He tries to go down the inside. A small contact there. But Camilleri got that Aston Martin in check. And there's a warning right there for Gallia in the Ferrari. Just a small reminder that Gallia is behind Camilleri. Camilleri can get on now with it as well. He has a 0.6 second lead, 0.6 of a second lead. This is lap 15. And we only have 2 minutes of racing left. Camilleri leads Gallia. Then Omar Barbara in the BMW, who, if he keeps driving this much close to these two and they tangle again, Barbara can also take a big advantage in his BMW. Right now he sits behind these two. Camilleri leads, not by much though. It's 0.8 of a second between him and Gallia. The cap is decreasing once again. A big lock up there for Camilleri. 0.5 of a second lead over Gallia. Gallia has a great advantage there over turn 1. Great drive from him out of turn 1 to try and catch up Camilleri in these successive corners, left, right, and left and right. Camilleri, really beautiful line over there. Trying to keep Gallia behind him. Not that easy in Gallia and that Ferrari. He's been driving really well. 0.3 of a second lead now. Camilleri over Gallia. Up to the last corner they come. Braking hard as the two attack the final corner. And maybe we can see another round between Gallia and Camilleri. Camilleri leads Gallia. 0.5 of a second. Camilleri now gets a great drive there. That's a defensive drive. That's a defensive line for Camilleri. But Gallia breaks a bit that later. And again, they are stuck one behind the other. Gallia almost pushing Camilleri. Pushes Camilleri's Aston Martin. Again they go. Camilleri with a big lock up there as well, but manages to get that Aston Martin into the corner. Gallia in the meantime made his way a bit wider than the corner, and Barbara's right up to him right now as well. So Barbara can get in this action with 16 seconds left. And that's it. So Camilleri wins, Gallia in second place, and Barbara with the BMW in third place. So Camilleri and Gallia go to the elimination round. That's a great drive there by Camilleri. All three of them ran beautifully this race. Camilleri won. It's a great race by Camilleri.
So that was the first elimination race from third round of eliminations. We're going to prepare for the next race now, where we'll see Bernard Vella, Dean Vella, Kit Camilleri, and Andrea Rizzo. We'll be with you. Keep on following us. We'll be on with the next race very shortly.
Hello and welcome back everyone for the second elimination of the 2018 GT Tournament Thrustmaster powered by rFactor 2. It's the Go Malta Esports Festival 2018 and this is the second elimination 5 minutes practice session. With 4 drivers here racing and competing. First 2 of them obviously automatically go to the final round. And these drivers are Bernard in the Ferrari, Dean Vella in the Aston Martin, Keith Camilleri in the BMW, and Andrew in the Porsche. As the cars make way out from the garage, we wait for the green light. And the 5 minutes practice session will begin soon. Green light is on. Drivers are out on track. And the 5 minutes practice session begins now. Out in the BMW, first one out is Keith Camilleri. Former Italian Formula 4 competing driver. Camilleri in the BMW. Then Dean Vella in the Aston Martin, Bernard in the Ferrari, and Andrew in the Porsche. First 5 minute practice and then 4 minutes of warm up and 15 minutes of sprint race. And out goes the Porsche. Out goes Andrew. Andrew is out. A big lockup. And Andrew Rizzo is out. Back on track now comes Andrea Rizzo. Onto the first time lap goes Camilleri in the BMW. Then followed by Dean Vella in the Aston Martin and Bernard Vella in the Ferrari. Three minutes and 40 seconds remaining of the first 5 minute practice session as these two squabble around. A bit of rain can also spice things up during the race. So it's Camilleri in the BMW and then Dean Vella, huge lockup for him. Dean Vella and the Aston Martin with the Ferrari of Bernard Vella. Look at Dean Vella trying to keep that Ferrari driving, pointing in a straight line with Camilleri in front of him. The rain just gets on and off here on this 2.4 kilometer circuit here in Barbagiallo, which may confuse the drivers and confuse also the tires, as drivers need to manage their tires and keep them in a optimal temperature for the race. Right now we're watching Dean Vella and the Aston Martin. Right in front of him is Kurt Camilleri with Dean Vella the best lap time of 54.1, Camilleri 54.3, Vella 56.3 and Andrea Rizzo 56.7. So it's Vella in first place in the Aston Martin, then Camilleri in the BMW. Camilleri driving the wheels of that BMW, is really pushing that BMW to the absolute limit. Over the line he goes. This is the lap 4. And Dean Vella still leads the pack with just 2 minutes of practice session remaining. Dean Vella, then Bernard Vella, Camilleri in third, and Andrea Rizzo in fourth place. Over the line comes Andrea Rizzo on the Porsche with 55.7 lap time. Dean Vella still leads them with 54.06 fastest lap. The shot here, we see Dean Vella and the Aston Martin, fastest man on track right now. Camilleri just in front of him in the BMW GT car. Now watch Bernard Vella and the Ferrari 488. Third place man, Bernard Vella, 54.12 of this time session. Drivers really need to find the limit of this 5-minute practice session, as the race will begin in a short time, in 6 minutes approximately. Camilleri right now going through the tight right-hander, trying to find the limits of braking and acceleration at the same time.
So we had a slight technical glitch on one of the PCs. Now it seems it's done. So soon we'll be going on with the race warm-up, actually, the warm-up session, and then the race, the second race of the third elimination rounds. Then later on we'll definitely have the final race at around 2:15.
And you knock it down. You're all set now to rock this town. You don't really need to play it low. Just get up and go. This is all your show. You should know I believe in you. Every race you run, you're my number one. Kick it off now and bring it on. This will be your day. 'Cause baby, you are born to win. Never give up, never give in. You are born to win. Your destiny is victory. Yeah, 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 yeah. Baby, you were born to win.
Hello back everyone, it's the second race of the second elimination. Drivers are Bernard, which is driving the Ferrari, Dean Vella in the Aston, Keith Camilleri in the BMW, and Andrea in the Porsche. Okay, so we're about to go underway. Here in Barbagallo, elimination race 2. It's 3 lights, 4 lights, and away we go. It's a great start for Camilleri in the BMW. Great start there by Camilleri. And the second is Bernard in the Porsche. And then in the Aston Martin, there goes Dean Vella. So it's Camilleri, then Bernard, then Vella. This is great stuff by Camilleri. Timed that start to perfection. Bernard Vella's just behind Camilleri. He's pushing that Ferrari to the limit and pushing Camilleri maybe to a mistake as well. As down to the right-hander they go. Camilleri locks up. Vella in the Ferrari. Still in second place. Checking that BMW of Camilleri. Camilleri leads them down to the final corner. Will Vera Blake later? Will he go down the inside? No, he can't. Camilleri breaks really late. So Camilleri leads them out of the last corner. But Vela's right behind the gearbox of Camilleri's BMW. Defensive line by Camilleri there. Really great stuff there by Camilleri. Out from turn 1 they go. Camilleri leads the Ferrari of Vela. Then Dean Vela and then Andrea Rizzo in the Porsche. Camilleri leads them. Defensive line again by Camilleri. He knows that the Vela in the Ferrari is right behind him. And he knows that Vela can brake really late at that final corner. Maybe he can surprise him as well. A small look up there by Camilleri. Still leading the pack. The BMW of Camilleri. Then Vela and the Porsche. Then Vela in the Aston Martin. Dean Vela and the Aston Martin. And Andrea Rizzo on the Porsche. Again. Braking hard. Camilleri and Vela. BMW versus Porsche. It's round 2. Lap 2 completed. And Camilleri sets the new fastest lap, which is 58.4 seconds. Braking hard is the BMW of Camilleri and Ferrari of Vela. Out from turn 1 they go. Vela can sense first place is just in front of him. Camilleri again, defensive line from him. This is great stuff by Camilleri. Former Italian Formula 4 driver. Great stuff here by Camilleri. Vela in second place. Again, Camilleri takes that wider line into the right hander and then cuts back in. Camilleri still leading the pack. Vela in second place. And then Dean Vela and the Aston Martin and Andrea Rizzo who cannot keep up the pace with the guys in front of him. Again, Camilleri fastest step of the race, which is 53.7. But Bernard Vela and the Ferrari is not far behind. 53.8 against 53.7 of Camilleri. Again, Camilleri leads. The Ferrari of Vela. Can Vela go down the inside here of Camilleri? He brakes later than him. Camilleri goes wider out the outside. This is great stuff by Camilleri. This is great driving by Camilleri. He fends off the Ferrari of Vela. Down to the final corner they go. Will Vela surprise him again? This is round 3. Ferrari, BMW versus Ferrari, round 3. Camilleri brakes really good now. Out of the last corner he comes. This great driving by these two. And the Aston Martin of Vela is not far behind. Dean Vela in third place. He can catch these two. Maybe he can surprise these two as well. Camilleri in first place. Then Vela in the Ferrari and then Dean Vela in the Aston Martin. 1 second gap covers these three. As Andrea Rizzo on the Porsche looks on. He can't keep up the pace of these guys in front of him. Camilleri, then Bernard Vela and then Dean Vela. 1, 2 and 3 covered by just less than a second. Camilleri again with that wider line and then turns back into the corners. Great stuff by Camilleri. If he manages to pull out a gap from Bernard Vela, he got this win in the bag. Again, they brake. All of them in synchronized braking. Camilleri, Vela, and then Vela. Over in the line they go. And this is lap 5. Camilleri again with the fastest lap. 53.7 against 53.8. Camilleri defensive line again. On board now with Vela and the Ferrari 488. Trying to catch Camilleri, trying to push Camilleri into a mistake. But Camilleri is not phased off. Brakes really good into this tight left-hander. And then the right-hander again. If Camilleri can keep Vela behind, maybe Dean Vela can smell a chance of second place and get that elimination wrapped up for the final race. Again, a long, wider line for Camilleri, which does not affect his driving style. He's driving really good, Camilleri. And then Vela in second place in the Ferrari. Dean Vela and the Aston Martin. Brakes later then. Bernard Vela and the Ferrari. Camilleri still leading the pack. Vela in second place, then Dean Vela in third place. Defensive line again by Camilleri. This is the great stuff by Camilleri. Out from 10 down and they go. Up through the gears they go. The left-hander and then the right again. Then braking, shifting 2 gears. Camilleri leads. Vella, and then Vella, the Aston Martin. While these two are squabbling, Dean Vella and the Aston Martin can get a chance and get second place in this race. On board with Camilleri. This is the view and the pressure the first place man Keith Camilleri has. Up through the gears he go. Then he brakes harder. Downshifting for the final corner. Again, Camilleri leads. But a small look up there, and Bernard Vella is up to him. Bernard Vella can smell a chance of victory. This great driving, they're side by side over there. Keith Camilleri still defending first place and still comes out on top. This is great driving by Camilleri. This is great stuff by both of them. His BMW and Ferrari, round 4. Camilleri against Vella. And then Dean Vella and the Aston Martin can sense second place. He can grab it away from Bernard Vella from the Ferrari 488. On board with Dean Vella now. He brakes exactly the same as the Ferrari. He tried to sniff the Aston Martin down the inside, but defensive line from Bernard Vella there blocked him from a move on the inside. Camilleri leads. Vella and the Ferrari, and then Vella and the Aston Martin again. On the pate we go. 7 minutes and 40 seconds remaining of this incredible race between Camilleri and Vella, and then Dean Vella and the Aston Martin. Andrea Rizzola, a solitary 4th place for him. He can't keep up with the pace of these three. Camilleri again. A small look up for Camilleri. Vella can put the pressure, can pile the pressure now on Camilleri. But as Camilleri is doing so, Vella is behind him and he can overheat his tires, while Camilleri has a clear track in front of him. Again, up the hill they go. Camilleri in first place, and Vella in second place. Maybe round 5 is on its way. Down to the final corner they go. As they break out, Vella has a look at Camilleri. Camilleri, defensive line there from Camilleri. This is great driving, but Camilleri, but Vella in the Ferrari 488 gets a much better drive out of the last corner. Again, this is round 5. Camilleri versus Vella. This is round 5 again. Again, Camilleri takes that wider line. Vella's in the lead. Vella in the lead, but Camilleri still side by side, going through him. Camilleri takes the lead once again. They're side by side. This is great driving by these two. Camilleri leads again. Vella in second place. Then Dean Vella and the Aston Martin. Maybe Dean Vella's he's not just getting second place, just getting first place again, and maybe steal the victory from Camilleri. Again, Camilleri pulls out the lead. On board with Camilleri, now on board with the Ferrari of Bernard Vella. Again, that wide line for Camilleri doesn't seem to affect his speed. As down the final corner they go, up to the hill and downhill again. Will Vella take a look at the inside? No, Camilleri still with the defensive driving from Camilleri. Again, onto the start-finish straight they go. Lap 10 is on its way. Camilleri leads. Vella in second place in the Ferrari. And if these guys tangle together, Dean Vella in the Aston Martin can race on and win the elimination round himself. Again, Camilleri with that small gap over the Ferrari of Bernard Vella. The gap is just 0.2 of a second. Braking hard again. Again, Camilleri taking that wide line, but doesn't seem to affect his driving style and speed. Although Vella now is close again. Vella slows in. Up to the hill they go. Up through the gearbox they go. And the defensive line as well for Camilleri. He shifted his BMW down the inside. This is great stuff by Camilleri. Great driving by all these three of them. Again, Camilleri over the bump. And Vella is again closer to him. He gets the slipstream. Closer to him again. They brake hard into turn 1. Camilleri again side by side. Vella and Camilleri, and Vella takes his first place. Again, and Dean Vella in third place. He's smelling a sense of second place and third, or maybe first place himself as well. As braking hard, they go left to the left-hander. On board with Camilleri now, with Bernard Vella just in front of him. Bernard Vella can pull away a bit from Camilleri now. A small look up there for Vella, which is a good sign for Camilleri, who can apply some pressure over the Ferrari of Bernard Vella. So Vella leads. Camilleri in second place. Dean Vella in third place. And Dean Vella also can smell second place away from him. If it's as it stands right now, Bernard Vella and Keith Camilleri will go to the final round automatically, while Dean Vella has to qualify again for the final round. But Dean Vella knows it, and if he can get his Aston Martin up the inside of Keith Camilleri, he can go to the final round automatically. As it stands right now, Bernard Vella leads, Keith Camilleri in the BMW, then Dean Vella and the Aston Martin. Bernard Vella still is stretching away that Ferrari with a 0.7 second lead over Camilleri. We get the sense that maybe Vella was a bit quicker than Camilleri all the way through the race, and maybe have found a gap. So the Ferrari leads of Vella, and then Keith Camilleri in second place, then Dean Vella and the Aston Martin right behind the BMW of Keith Camilleri, with just 3.5 minutes of racing still to come. Camilleri defensive line there for Camilleri. Dean Vella doesn't have anywhere to go except for the outside. He brakes late harder than Camilleri, but Camilleri with that inside line still covers him off. Over the line they come. Lap 13 is on. 3 minutes and 10 seconds of racing remaining. Vella's out in the lead, and the Ferrari 488. Camilleri in second place. Dean Vella fighting his Aston Martin, trying to find the gap, which Camilleri is not going to give him that easy, obviously. Camilleri knows that Dean Vella is there, and he's trying every trick in the book to keep that second place and his chances to go to the final elimination round. Camilleri checks out from Bernard Vella checks out from Keith Camilleri as these two squabble again. Obviously these two squabbling around makes it slower, and obviously Bernard Vella can pull away a gap. Now the gap is increased to 1.6 seconds from Vella over Camilleri. Still a defensive line there for Camilleri. Downshifting hard to the final corner. Camilleri, a small look up there. Still fending off Dean Vella and the Aston Martin. This is great driving there. Great driving from the BMW man. And Dean Vella and the Aston Martin, they brake hard into turn one. Again, defensive line for Camilleri. Still keeping Dean Vella behind him, while Bernard Vella has checked out again. His lead 2 seconds over Camilleri. And then obviously 0.4 of a second, Camilleri has a lead over Dean Vella and the Aston Martin. On board with Dean Vella right now. Camilleri not making any mistakes at all. He's just keeping Dean Vella behind him. He knows that he only needs second place to go to the elimination round. A small look up there, but still manages to get the BMW in the corner. Dean Vella behind him. Obviously, Camilleri knows that by keeping Dean Vella behind him, he can get his engine to overheat or maybe destroy his tires. So Camilleri can stay there in second place comfortably. Final corner for these two, with just 1.5 minutes of racing remaining. Lap 15 completed. Lap 16 right now. Bernard Vella leads Camilleri, 2.6 second lead. The gap is increasing. Then Camilleri over Dean Vella. It's 0.3 of a second. BMW versus Aston Martin. Camilleri versus Vella. And this is lap 16 with 2.5 second lead. Vella over Camilleri. Camilleri now checked out a bit of a gap again between him and Dean Vella and the Aston Martin. So I think Dean Vella knows that Keith Camilleri has this second place in the bag. We look now at the leader, Bernard Vella in the Ferrari 488 GT car. Lap 16 completed, now lap 17, 2.7 second lead over the BMW man Keith Camilleri, and then Dean Vella and the Aston Martin. Such an incredible race. These two had a great, these two battling around all through the race. Keith Camilleri against Bernard Vella, and then Keith Camilleri again against Dean Vella in the Aston Martin. With just 2 seconds of racing remaining, so this will be the final lap. Bernard Vella in the lead, 2.6 second lead over Keith Camilleri. We'll look now at the leader. Through the final sector he goes. Keith Camilleri checked out from he's on course for a second place. Bernard Vella around the final corner he goes, and this is the winner of the second elimination round. Bernard Vella wins the second elimination round with Keith Camilleri in second place and Dean Vella in third place. So both of these guys, Bernard Vella and Keith Camilleri, go around to the final races. Dean Vella has to qualify for the final elimination round. and Andrea Rizzo is out. Great stuff.
So that was the last elimination round. In approximately 45 minutes, we'll be going live with the final race of this GT tournament sponsored by Thrustmaster here at the Go Malta Esports Festival. We'd like to thank also our sponsors, GT Omega Racing and Gaming Malta. See you in 45 minutes for the final race.